So tonight we are especially blessed because our guest speakers are all the way from the USA, and they have just finished their lunch, I believe. So the rest of us are almost ready to go to bed here in South Africa. But what is exciting is that, GIG now has got a footprint also in the USA. And I got to know Werner and Chantelle, I think it was since 2013, if I'm not mistaken, when we purchased, when we started to collaborate on that flats in Ellen Reach. And Werner and Chantelle at that stage were the project managers of it. And then we get to know each other quite closely. And Werner and Chantelle will tell you their stories of how they became involved, heard of GIG and got involved. We're also privileged that Chantelle, and its history that we made this year at our AGM, we were looking for a further member for the audit committee, and she volunteered all the way from the USA. So it's the first time that we now have a member of the audit committee in the USA. So it's just incredible how technology has made the world much smaller. And as long as we can navigate the various time differences, everything is possible. And then Werner behind the scenes is also very much involved with Jason to just help look at all our IT sites to make sure that we are on the cutting edge in terms of security and also moving forward. So Werner and Chantelle, we are very excited to have you here tonight and for you to then share with us your story. So without any further ado, over to you, and then right at the end when you finish, we'll open the floor for questions and answers. Over to you.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Jasper, and it's really for us, it's a privilege being able to join everyone today. So again, Werner
and Chantelle,
beautiful wife Chantelle, and yeah, we have already been blessed by knowing Jasper and the whole GIG community, and it's also great for us to actually be part of the GIG club for the first time, and hopefully not the last time. So we met with Jasper roughly a month ago to go through our annual assessment plan, as he is still our wealth coach, and he knows our story back from 2013, so it was great. It's always great to touch base with him, and he's asked us to share a little bit of our journey, and we also see it as a testimony because God is faithful to his word, and he is involved in every facet of our lives, and that includes our finances, our financial health, and the plans that he has for our lives, the way we get closer to him, we get to have a bigger impact for him in his kingdom. And this is all just a little bit of a glimpse of what he's been doing in and through our lives. So we're glad to share that with you guys. We put together a short presentation to hopefully those joining could catch up quickly. But it's so the presentation is just to give you some reference of our journey and hopefully some takeaways, and we'll be around afterwards if there are any questions or comments, even proposals, personal experiences, testimonies, anything that anybody else wants to share. We would gladly do that. Okay, so I hope everybody can see my screen. So this is my beautiful family. So my eldest, Gerard, and then Olivia and Benjamin. So in the background, you guys can see the new XM BMW that was just recently launched. And we have the privilege of being in the USA now for the last 3.5 years. And I've been working for BMW 10 years out of that. Or let's say that I started working for them in Roslyn, South Africa, and was sent on assignment in the USA. And that is just a glimpse of the project that I'm working on. So they actually brought the vehicle so that family and friends and everybody else could see and get a glimpse of that. So this this is our journey as we walk it, and wondering who else, you know, we can still take along in that journey. Hopefully, definitely our children can. So one of the things that we appreciate about gig is being surrounded by like-minded people like yourselves, and people who help us understand God's truth and principles, and doesn't shy away from asking tough questions and challenging us to think about the future generations. And that's why we were also excited today, as it actually helps us in one of our milestones is to document our own family story, so that we can hand it over to our children. As we were preparing for this, we could say again, you know, why we do this, how we prepare for them. So sometimes when we work on projects and I ask, what are we up to? We can tell them, oh, we're actually, you know, building up a legacy for you guys. You know, this is something that you hopefully can continue for your children. So yeah, even today, these moments are priceless. And you might have heard this story by Albert Einstein, where during the nuclear race, he wrote a letter which I actually saw in the archives, a letter to intellectuals, that he said that at that time in the 1940s, their situation wasn't comparable to anything in the past. And it is impossible to apply the methods and measures which at an earlier age might have been sufficient. And I'm sure that will hold true for every generation. We've seen leaps and bounds, changes, you know, because of technology, with the economic unrest, uncertainty in the markets, just shifts happening so quickly that we can ask ourselves as well, what methods and measures from the previous age should be revised. And if Chantelle and I just, you know, think about our own upbringing, our parents loved us and they gave us their best, and we appreciate them for that. But it is also methods and measures that worked for them in their era, that brought security, that helped them got to where they were. But we also had to look further. And I'm not sure if you maybe want to share a little bit with how you, you know, like your parents, that was inspiration for you and what they've made possible for you. And then I can also share from my side.
Yeah, I think for me, we grew up in Witbank, or now called Emelaghleni. And yeah, we were average household with also 3 kids. And yeah, my parents did, as Werner said, all they could to assist us, always helping us understand their budget and being able to almost like see the process of how they make their decisions. And that means a lot to me in being able to know why we do certain things and why we have to wait for certain things, and just how finances work. And I really appreciated them being so open with us and being in that way for us to start understanding and building our own thoughts around finances. And I think the biggest thing that my parents made available for me or helped me with is to really just be there for me throughout my schooling, and really encouraging me in everything I'm doing, to do my best, and also that they would give their best if they see what I bring to the table as well. And they, through my dad's work, I was able to get a bursary to be able to go to university in Pretoria. And yeah, and through that was a really big thing for me also, to have that education base for myself and being able to open my view to a different world of studies and of work opportunities and things like that.
So when Chantelle and I met, we were both broke students. Neither one of us had a car. And I was also fortunate that my dad was able to pay for my studies. So I did a diploma in industrial engineering through UNISA. And he was able to make that possible for us. But when it comes to new methods and when we talk about the 4 cash quadrants from Robert Kiyosaki in terms of coming into a place of passive income, where one invests in assets and other income streams, he did not really have the skill or the knowledge to coach me in that. And I also didn't have people in my life that did. So I started seeing things. I've always been very entrepreneurial and I had a desire to build and to invest and develop. But there was this disconnect between seeing other people do it or having ideas and actually realizing it, making it possible. I recall when I was in first grade trying to sell rocks to friends at school. I just thought it was the most beautiful rocks. Everybody else, I'm sure, also would want this or trade rocks for, cards and things that the kids were into at the time. But my dad, has made it possible, and he's given me a certain baseline. And then when Chantelle and I met, we were very excited about the future, and we both love business, and we both love Jesus as well. And we were like one of our mentors, Floyd McClung, said, ready to go and willing to stay. So we both went through a season where we thought, well, the way to serve the Lord and to build his kingdom is really to be full-time missionaries. And the Lord discipled us and he taught us different perspectives and different ways. And that's why we say our gig journey is interwoven with our testimony, as the Lord has really used gig to disciple us and to equip us. And we're going to share a little bit more about that. So when we started dating, I was very much lost in systems engineering. It's my major, my favorite subject. When I started working, I finished my BTech degree, also with the support of Chantelle. And I realized that we all have goals, and that as people, we have networks of people, we interact with people, social beings, we want to be together with people. And this happens within an environment, an infrastructure, being at home, being at work, being at however we go about our daily affairs. And we use technology, even if it's just a cell phone, to move around and make things possible. And this is within a certain worldview and a culture, and we follow certain steps. So from a gig point of view, families are people with capabilities who work towards goals, who follow processes, use technology, operate within a physical infrastructure, and share certain cultural assumptions and norms. So as just a glimpse from our lives, you can realize that the people in our lives that we grew up with had a certain cultural norm, which wasn't wrong. It was just not, from a gig point of view, in a life of success or more significance that we are striving towards from a goal point of view. So Chantelle and I have, as we got married, gotten to know each other, start following certain processes that we were taught in school, realized that we're not getting closer to our goals, not having the necessary infrastructure and so forth. So that's the journey. It's really messy. So if you've not read the poem about I think the 6 blind men, then please do. It's really quite thought-provoking. But it basically tells a story of how 6 blind men all came across an elephant, and they each had a part of the elephant. The one walked into the leg of the elephant and felt, this coarse, strong, solid thing, and thought it must be a tree. And the other one, got hold of the trunk and thought, no, it's a snake. I need to get away from here. Other one grabbed hold of the tail, and so on. And they all had a different picture of what this thing is that they came across. And as we grew up, God had a calling in our lives. We all had a dream, but our ideas, based on our culture and the examples around us, was somewhat fragmented. You have to be in the system kind of to beat the system. We were in the system of going to school, studying, getting a job, and then saving, and hopefully buying a house, and taking 20, 30 years to buy off that house. And hopefully you can get your kids through that same process. But that's not living in significance, where we can seek and establish God's kingdom, where we have the freedom and the capacity and the time and the resources to advance the kingdom. And this was really frustrating. And imagine this is your life, and you going from one person or one idea to another idea, and then you see, oh, this doesn't work, and you go to another idea, and you try this and it doesn't work out, and you go somewhere else. It's really messy. It's messy trying to figure out how this all ties together. And for us, Gigas has become a central base where we can start tying all these things back into, because it helps us sharpen our financial goals. It helps us stay accountable in terms of these financial goals that we set. It helps us think about the 7 years, the 21 years of the family and friends in our immediate financial circles that we want to care for and that we want to be there for. And not only that, it's not only about changing our mindset and our worldview and making us aware of the bigger elephant in the room, but it really also provides the processes and the tools, the infrastructure, for example, the loaning share. And this is where our journey then, started. Let's say at this point, being unawares, to lead us to gig, which we felt very much lost at that time. And this picture is always funny to think of. I see myself with Chantelle, and we're trying to make sense of this world, and how to navigate it and how to build assets. And Chantelle is just like, oh, face it, Werner, that you're lost. This idea is not going to work. And she's been very supportive. I do have sometimes crazy ideas, so we make a great team. And she also helps me stay on track. And it's without surrounding yourself with like-minded people, having that roadmap plotted out, it becomes a little bit daunting task. So one of the key people, families that God placed within my life, and then as we got married and started our lives together, was Kobus and Marlies Breed. And first they formed a leadership group that I was part of, and this group challenged me on key leadership principles. For example, what lid do you place on your own life? What lid does people around you place on your life? And that, again, is why it's so important to be surrounded with people that lifts your lid and say, it's not God's calling for you just to survive. He wants you to go into significance so that you can advance the kingdom. And I'm not talking about prosperity, just benefiting ourselves. Like Jesus said, seek first the kingdom of God, and everything else shall be given to you. He said it's not money itself that's evil, but it's the love of money. And it is a fight. It's a fight for our hearts always to be submitted to him, that he is the king of our lives. Everything that we do is for his glory. It is very difficult, but that is when we talk about lifting a lid or becoming more or stepping into success or significance. It's really for his glory. And
also when thinking of the blinded men with the elephant and these bees looking at this map and not knowing where to go, it's like we don't see the full picture or have the full picture, but God has. And as we turn to him and seek him for that everyday next step, he reveals the bigger elephant to us at the right time, at the right moment, and also leads us into a place where we're able to realize his bigger plan for the people and for the cities and for the generations to come. And so that's also just like a very integral part of our lives in terms of how really seeking the Lord to reveal the next piece of the puzzle, because if we look at the bigger picture, we cannot see, and it feels very big and huge. But if we just take the next step, he reveals that to us. And sometimes we feel lost. We feel that, oh my, we're not doing the right thing here. But as he leads us and reveals the next step, and then looking back over a few steps taken, you can see how he leads us. And I think definitely this was the beginning of a step taking us into the direction of becoming part of GIG that has the vision of repairing people's lives, giving new vision, and being able to build up ruins and new cities and bring hope to the generations to come and build for them as well.
That's so good. Thank you. So in the middle, you'll see a beautiful sunset in Allen Ridge. And as Chantelle said, we have our plans, but the Lord determines our footsteps. So as we both wanted to pursue full-time missionary work, we were so fully convicted that he wanted us back in the commercial, secular world, where we expand his kingdom and live according to his kingdom principles and make disciples in our daily lives, so that we are full-time missionaries. So that term, full-time missionaries, wherever we go and whatever we do, and that we live and walk as he does. And again, it's not easy. So Kobus, after the leadership program, his father-in-law passed away, and they decided to take over this property investment portfolio in Allen Ridge Villa, just outside of Woodendalsrus, Botawil area. And I maybe just to mention, just after that calling to go back to the secular world, I was working at Siemens at the time, and still just with my diploma, I actually earned more than some of my friends with masters in electrical engineering. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna lay this down and become a missionary. But in the end, it turned out that the Lord knows our way, and he leads us in that. And so I went back to my boss at Siemens after I resigned to go do missionary work, and he's like, oh, well, we actually already filled the position. I'm like, Lord, what now? Where do I go? And he led me to go and waiter in a restaurant for 6 to 8 months until they sold him. And I really went from, I thought, success, working at a multi-international engineering firm, to a struggle. I had to move back in with my parents. My car broke, I couldn't fix it. And I just, lived from day to day. Whenever I earned my tips and my money from serving at the restaurant, I would spend it on airtime, and you know, I would cycle to work and so on. So I really went back there, and the Lord used that very strategically to come and build me back up again, because He is the best discipler. He is the one that knows, and He's got all these truths in the Word, and that's what we also appreciate about GIG, is that they search scriptures and bring it before us. So then through Cobus, I went to visit with him in Allen Ridge for a week after they sold the restaurant. I didn't have a work, and I told Cobus, hey, I've got a week. I can come and help you out at Allen Ridge, maybe paint a few places, just hang out together. We became good friends. And while we were there, I just felt the Lord prompt me. It's like, come and work for Cobus here, come and help him out. And I'm like, wow, that's not exactly my picture of what I had in mind. It's far away from home and my friends, which was very important at the time, and also being a young man looking for a wife. I didn't see many opportunities in a small mining community, but I was so convicted. I asked Cobus, hey, do you need help here? And he's like, please, when can you start? And together we developed a franchise model to standardize the business processes and create structure for that property portfolio. And then when I met Chantelle, it was so exciting for the two of us to learn business together in this way and start doing business together. You want to say something? Okay. And unknowingly, the Lord was doing so many things in parallel, and this later on became my passion and my forte, and really jump-started a whole new line of things that I'm involved in today. So that brings us to the four, let's say, stages of the gig journey, coming from where you might be in a very overwhelming and let's say in a position where you might feel stuck, and that there might not be hope. That is a daily struggle to come by, where we were basically after our studies, and through the principles and just putting away what you can, looking for leverage, reinvesting that, sowing in the kingdom, serving where you can in the things that you're good at, surrounding yourself with like-minded people that can call life out, that can, as a network, help you connect with other like-minded people that can establish you. It's really been from a poor dad mold, as I talk about whole society, that kind of is built just to keep us, to make debt, to pay interest, and never really being able to build up a passive income. And for myself, laying down my own dream, working at Siemens, coming from a waitering position, and then just being faithful with the small opportunities the Lord has given me, building real valuable and let's say meaningful relationships with people, and continually investing in yourself. It's helped us to build up that 7-year debt-free plan. And as Jasper mentioned, we met in 2013, and he was able to help us with that. And what we immediately set out to do was to save up as much as we could at the time, and use the London share. So as I mentioned, we've had the goal to build up passive income, but there was a disconnect in the knowledge of how to best identify alternative income streams, what is reliable, low risk, least effort, because we both started working full time. So you wanted to do something that you can still look after your full-time work in excellence. And in this effort to do that, we created trusts to put property into for our children to have, that we could build up that passive income. Chantelle and I invested in a mini chess franchise, which is a fantastic franchise to help develop kids' logical and mathematical reasoning abilities through the game of chess. And this was primarily to give my parents still a working opportunity, as they had to retire early. And instead of us just giving them money, we created that franchise business opportunity for them to continue working and become independent. We wanted our son is very creative, so we wanted him in a specific school that was nominated as the most innovative school 3 years in a row. And we started making more debt for these investment opportunities. So we made debt to purchase the mini chess franchise. We made debt to register trust deed and accounting fees and everything associated with that. And we also had some Villa Ridge operating expenses sorry, I realized I didn't mention that from this transition phase from supporting Cobus with Alan Reach for 2 years, or maybe a year and a half, I started doing consulting work and got an opportunity in an aerospace company in full time. And Chantelle also started working as an accountant or a professional accountant. And we started coming more into the stability, but we were still not getting that surplus because we were investing into other income streams. So we were still feeling like we're struggling because our additional income streams is not enough to really give us that surplus.
And also at a certain point, the Lord really spoke to us for me to lessen my work and be with the kids more. And so that also cut a big part of our income stream, which then put us back a bit more into the struggle time of not being able to really build outside of just our daily expenses and being able to make every month. And so throughout this time, as we said, the things that we invested in were also then more on a debt basis, and we got more into debt than we would have wanted to.
So this is why I also brought that spaghetti chart back in here as a reminder. It's messy. It's not a linear process going from struggle to stability to success and then you arrive at significance. Never. So as your income increases, your expenses increase because, oh, now I can have this car, and oh, now I actually can afford a phone on a contract, and so, oh, now I can have a holiday. All the things that you've always wanted, but now suddenly that surplus shrunk, and you're trying to invest. As I mentioned there at the bottom, my income is bigger than my expenses, but investing increases risks and more expenses. So we used our first loan-linked share savings to pay off that debt that we used to actually invest and generate additional income streams. And that was such a relief. I mean, it increased our monthly expenses, but we could see how that debt dropped. And it was so freeing to finally have not only somebody that just talks about something that has to be done, but also somebody that enabled us and put in that infrastructure to make it possible. And shortly thereafter, as we started getting returns on the interest we didn't have to pay, we were able to increase our savings and then pay off our vehicle that we had still 5 years left on 100,000, and you can just imagine how much interest we saved by doing that. And that was something that really excited us, and it's like, hey, we're telling our family and friends, you need to consider being part of this community because they're really going to help you move from struggle to stability or stability to success. And during this time, I moved from the aerospace to an aerospace company to BMW, and shortly thereafter, they asked if I wanted to work on this project in USA, and we were able, through our third loan link share, to put down a deposit. Put down a deposit and make a loan for buying a big house with a granny flat or a studio that we could actually rent out for additional passive income. And within 15 months, we already got 70% of that loan back. So it's so worth it, and it's really enabled us for that additional income streams. Then, in terms of success, our next step is also, and we now in the final stages, we reviewed our assessment again with GIG, and with Jasper, as part of the GIG journey, and we're in a position now where we're gonna or aiming to actually pay off our investment property that we purchased in that trust, so that we again can save on many years of interest on that. Things that we also still want to work towards is having savings locked away for economic disasters or mishaps. And yeah, being in the US, we've also been very much encouraged by their culture of serving and supporting one another. And Chantelle and I have both stepped into leadership positions for our children in something that's similar to the Scouts or those youth programs where we can invest in their lives. We're using active opportunities to teach our kids entrepreneurial skills and talking to them about the GIG journey and the principles, and that what we work on, we want them to work on for their grandchildren. Mm-hmm. So teaching them how to bake sourdough, selling at the yard sales, or to family and friends. My son is mowing the lawn, he's building up savings. We built a computer together the other day. Chantelle is doing a sewing and baking with Olivia, using some time to invest in the Systems Engineering Council. And yeah, just all these opportunities. So some photos we wanted to share is our master that we were able to basically, through the loan link share, purchase interest-free. There were Chantelle with my dad marketing the Mini Chase franchise. We used some of that first funds from the loan link share to upgrade our investment property bathroom, making it more appealing and making sure we have tenants. And this is where we're at now. So as I mentioned, Chantelle being able to invest in Olivia, our middle one, and I spending a lot of time with my eldest. Our youngest one has also grown and being more involved, and teaching them a lot of skills, and with that always economical ideas as well. And this is my professional mentor, Dr. Richard Knowles, who's helping me develop new skills for my career, and ultimately this longer passion and dream that started there in Villa Ridge when it comes to systems engineering and understanding business. And also considering further developing yourselves. I just passed my B1 International German certificate. So this can also open doors for us to work in Germany in the future. And actually for a new position I'm applying for now, it's a prerequisite. So it's always good to continue developing ourselves.
Yes, and I also just wanted to say, like, when we thought back the other day when speaking to Jasper in our time together, it was just so amazing to just realize how when you can get out of the place of struggle and get to a place of stability and then success, it takes you to a point where you're able to not just be focused on yourself anymore, but be able to focus outward and see, like, how is the Lord positioning you with your finances to be able to give from yourself to others, and to and that's really what we've learned also here in the US, of how people just give of their knowledge, of their time, of their money, to really further the greater community around them. And that's also why we have felt to give more towards gig from our time and knowledge, because of what gig has meant to us. And now we're at a point where we have more capacity, not being in the struggle and stability phase anymore. Yeah.
So, challenge to all of us. Are you gonna live in the silo and looking at the elephant at the leg in isolation, the trunk in isolation? Or are you gonna come together as a community and make a beautiful bouquet or a beautiful arrangement of flowers, so that we can take our generation to the next level?